Level 1. The applicant. You are sitting in a coffee shop in central London, scrolling through a job listing on your phone. It appears to have been posted by an accounting firm. The position title is simple: Intelligence Officer. The requirements seem ordinary enough: a university degree, British citizenship, and the ability to work in ambiguous environments. You pause on that phrase, ambiguous environments. You almost laugh. You believe you know what MI6 is. You think you understand what they actually do. You have seen the films: car chases through European capitals, tuxedos at diplomatic receptions, rooftop fights in the rain. You tap apply. Then nothing happens. For 3 months there is no email, no phone call, and no letter. You check your spam folder 11 times. Eventually, you begin to wonder whether you imagined the entire listing. Then one Tuesday afternoon, your phone rings. A woman with a voice so calm it sounds rehearsed asks whether you are available for a preliminary conversation. She does not say where she is calling from. She does not name the organization. She simply begins asking questions. Where did you study? Have you traveled outside the United Kingdom in the last 10 years? Do you speak any languages other than English? Have you ever used illegal drugs? Do you have any foreign relatives? The conversation lasts 40 minutes. She thanks you for your time and ends the call without explaining what happens next. 2 weeks later, a letter arrives. The envelope is plain and white, with no logo and no return address, nothing identifying the sender. Inside is a short invitation to an assessment day at a location in London. You arrive at a building that could easily belong to any corporate office park in any modern city. The room contains beige carpet, plastic chairs, and a water cooler that hums too loudly. 12 other candidates sit quietly in rows. Nobody speaks. Everyone tries to appear relaxed, and nobody succeeds. The first stage is a written exam. It tests analytical reasoning and pattern recognition. You are given incomplete intelligence about a fictional country and asked to recommend a course of action to the Foreign Secretary. You have 90 minutes. You write quickly. Eventually your hand begins to cramp. The second stage is a group exercise. You are placed in a room with 4 strangers and given a crisis scenario: a British hostage in a fictional Middle Eastern state, limited resources, competing political priorities, and a ticking clock. They are not interested in your final answer. They are interested in how you think. Do you listen or dominate the conversation? Do you panic when the scenario shifts, or do you adapt? When the information contradicts itself, do you freeze, or find a path through the uncertainty? Observers sit in the corners, silently writing notes on clipboards. They never smile. The third stage is the interview. 2 people sit across the table. One asks questions. The other studies your hands, posture, and the micro-expressions you do not realize you are making. They ask why you want the job. You begin delivering the answer you rehearsed that morning in the mirror. They interrupt. They ask again why you really want the job. You hesitate. That hesitation is precisely what they wanted, the unscripted response beneath the polished one. Then comes developed vetting. DV clearance is the most invasive background investigation conducted by a Western government. They examine not only you but also your parents, siblings, university roommates, and former partners. Investigators review financial records stretching back a decade and examine your medical history. They speak with neighbors you have barely met. Every country you have visited is examined. Every connection you made there is evaluated. They are constructing a vulnerability map. Addiction, ideology, foreign connections. Any weakness that a hostile intelligence service could exploit to turn you into a double agent. The process lasts 8 months. During that time, you wait. You cannot tell anyone that you applied, not your parents, not your closest friend, not the person sharing your bed. The secret settles quietly into your life. It begins reshaping you before you have even started the job. You are already learning compartmentalization. You simply do not realize it yet. Level 2, the trainee. Eventually you receive a start date and a location: Fort Monkton. The training facility sits near Gosport on England's southern coast. From the outside it appears unremarkable: old stone walls, a handful of modern buildings, and the gray expanse of the English Channel stretching behind it. Inside, the next 6 months of your life begin. You join a cohort of 18 trainees. By the end, 14 will remain. The course is called the Intelligence Officer New Entry Program. It revolves around 3 core disciplines: tradecraft, agent recruitment, and resistance to interrogation. First comes tradecraft. You learn surveillance detection routes, walking carefully designed paths through unfamiliar towns while noting anyone who appears more than once. You learn how to operate dead drops, leaving packages in concealed locations for agents to retrieve without either of you appearing together. You practice brush passes in crowded train stations, transferring a USB drive so smoothly that even a slowed security camera might struggle to detect it. Instructors follow you through city streets, attempting to catch you making mistakes. If they spot you, the exercise begins again. You also develop cover identities, not simple lies, but complete personal histories detailed enough to survive hours of hostile questioning. You rehearse those identities while exhausted, sleep-deprived, and shouted at in languages you barely understand, until the cover begins to feel almost as real as your own life. The second discipline is agent recruitment. This is the true purpose of the service. You are not a spy. You recruit spies. You study the recruitment cycle, identifying potential sources, assessing their motivations, cultivating relationships, and eventually making the pitch. The pitch is the moment when you ask a foreign national to betray their own country. For motivations appear again and again in intelligence history: money, ideology, coercion, and ego. Money means the target needs something you can provide. Ideology means they believe in your values. Coercion means leverage exists. Ego means they want recognition and importance. You practice recruitment conversations in cafes and hotel lobbies, speaking with strangers who have no idea they are part of a training exercise. Instructors observe everything: your eye contact, listening habits, tone of voice, and the subtle moments when another person becomes uncomfortable. The third discipline is resistance to interrogation. You are hooded and forced into stress positions against freezing walls. White noise blares for hours. Sleep deprivation stretches across several days while interrogators shout contradictory questions. Your task is simple: protect your cover identity and reveal nothing about your mission or colleagues. Some candidates break quickly. Others endure. None emerge unchanged. Graduation happens quietly. A senior officer shakes your hand in a corridor. You are now a member of the Secret Intelligence Service. The world knows it as MI6. Level 3, the junior officer. Your first overseas posting places you inside a British embassy in a country that matters strategically but rarely appears in headlines. Officially, you are a diplomat. Unofficially, you work for the intelligence station hidden inside the embassy compound. The station may contain 3 officers. It may contain 12. Your head of station has decades of experience and can read people with remarkable accuracy. From a handshake alone, he can often tell whether someone might be recruitable. Your task is to develop targets. You attend diplomatic receptions, government events, and cultural gatherings. You identify individuals who might possess access to valuable information: a defense official frustrated by his career, a scientist disillusioned with her government, a businessman struggling financially. You build relationships slowly. Coffee meetings turn into dinners. Conversations become friendships. You remember their children's names and ask about aging parents. You become their most attentive listener. Eventually, the moment arrives. You make the pitch. Your first recruitment takes 11 months. The source is a colonel with access to procurement data inside a post-Soviet military structure. His motivation is ego. He believes his government has overlooked his talent. You tell him that London recognizes his brilliance. Part of that statement is true. Part of it is carefully constructed. He agrees to share documents. You assign him a cryptonym and establish communication procedures: dead drops, encrypted messaging systems disguised as ordinary applications. You draft your first CX intelligence report. The document travels electronically to Vauxhall Cross on the south bank of the Thames. Your head of station reads it. He nods once. That single nod is the most praise you will receive for nearly a year's work. Level 4, the senior case officer. 9 years pass. You have served in 3 countries and recruited 14 agents. 2 operations were compromised. 1 agent was arrested by a hostile security service and spent 6 years in prison. You think about him more often than the 12 who survived. Late at night you wonder whether you pushed too hard, requested too many documents, or underestimated the risks he faced. No one in the service speaks about this calculation aloud. It happens silently at 3 in the morning when the house is quiet. Level 5. The head of station. Now the dynamic changes. You are no longer primarily recruiting agents. You are commanding operations. Your station contains 8 officers, and every risk flows through you. Your officers are followed regularly by the host nation's security service. Phones are tapped. Buildings are monitored. Every meeting requires hours of surveillance detection. Meanwhile, your marriage begins to fracture. Your spouse knows you work for MI6 but does not understand the details. She cannot explain the midnight departures, the constant caution, or the habit of checking mirrors while driving. She asks if you are having an affair. You say no. The truth is far more complicated. You live 2 separate lives. Neither receives the complete version of you. Level 6. The controller. You return to London and take a position at Vauxhall Cross. From an office overlooking the Thames, you oversee operations across an entire region of the world. Stations report to you from multiple countries. Every major operation requires your authorization. Every success disappears quietly into classified files. Failures arrive loudly. One day an agent is arrested. Tradecraft was correct. Communications were secure. But the agent's spouse noticed unexplained payments and mentioned them to a relative working in the domestic security service. Human error. The one variable intelligence work can never eliminate. You authorize those payments. The weight settles permanently. It joins others you already carry. Level 7. The Deputy Chief. You brief ministers and attend meetings with leaders of MI5 and GCHQ. You speak carefully. Intelligence never claims certainty. It suggests. It assesses. It estimates probabilities. Years of secrets begin to affect your health. Sleep becomes difficult. Blood pressure rises. Your mind contains too many classified memories to rest easily. Level 8. The Chief. The tradition begins with Mansfield Smith coming. He signed official correspondence with a single letter, C, written in green ink. Now the green pen belongs to you. You lead the Secret Intelligence Service. Thousands of employees work within the organization. Hundreds of officers operate across continents. Agents are embedded in governments, militant groups, and weapons programs around the world. You advise ministers and brief prime ministers. Most successes remain invisible. Failures rarely do. Eventually the time comes to retire. On a Thursday morning, you pass the green pen to your successor. You leave Vauxhall Cross for the final time and walk across the bridge into the city. Millions of people continue their daily lives without realizing what you spent 3 decades doing to protect them. That invisibility was always part of the design. Somewhere in the city, a 23-year-old sits in a coffee shop, scrolling through a job listing. Intelligence officer, ambiguous environments. They click apply. They have no idea what lies ahead. The vetting, the training, the distant postings, the agents they will recruit and sometimes lose, the relationships strained by silence, the secrets that accumulate year after year. They only know they want something beyond ordinary. For now, that is enough. The River Thames continues to flow past the headquarters building. Inside, the files grow thicker. And somewhere in a drawer, the green pen waits.